What happens when a wounded tiger gets caught in a steel trap in the heart of the forest? The events that unfolded in the following minutes shocked even those who were used to seeing the most difficult rescues. The morning forest carried a heavy stillness. A pale light filtered through the canopy, touching the damp ground where mist clung close to the roots. The air smelled of wet soil and iron-rich water. In the distance, the faint ripple of a stream broke the silence, while cicadas hummed their steady rhythm. Every sound seemed sharp, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. A young tiger moved slowly through the silence. His paws pressed into the soft ground, leaving clear tracks behind. His ribs lifted and fell quickly, showing the fatigue of long days without a full meal. His ears twitched toward the rustle of leaves, but his focus was fixed on the promise of water nearby. Hunger pressed him forward, but thirst pushed harder. He lowered his head, nostrils wide, tasting the scents carried in the air. The smell of water was there, but mixed with something foreign, cold, metallic, unnatural. His step faltered for a moment, hesitation flickering in his eyes. Yet instinct drove him forward. The crack of steel cut the forest open. In an instant, iron jaws clamped down around his front leg. The tiger's roar thundered across the valley, scattering birds from the trees. Pain surged through him like fire, forcing him to twist and strike at the ground. He clawed at the soil, his muscles straining to tear free, but the trap held with unyielding force. Blood welled quickly around the teeth of the steel. He lashed at the air, teeth bared, tail whipping in fury. The forest echoed with his roars, but each cry grew more broken than the last. He fell heavily to his side, chest heaving, his flanks trembling with every shallow breath. Still, he fought. He pulled back, tried to crush the iron with his own weight, struck at the jaws with his free paw, but the steel cut deeper with every attempt. His eyes widened, burning with both terror and anger. The silence returned after his cries faded. The forest stood still except for his ragged breathing and the faint rattle of the chain as he moved. The smell of blood thickened in the air. He lifted his head once more and released a guttural cry that carried beyond the trees. Two rangers on patrol stopped when they heard it. They turned to one another, understanding without words. The sound of distress was too clear. They moved quickly, breaking through the undergrowth, branches snapping under their boots. Each roar guided them closer until the sight opened before them. The tiger, trapped, trembling, his leg crushed in rusted iron. The men slowed, careful not to startle him further. One whispered, "This is a trap. Poachers." The other spoke in a low voice. "If we do not move quickly, he will not survive." The tiger answered their presence with a weak but deep growl. His ears pressed back, his body shook. Pain and fear clashed in his eyes, but he still held the dignity of a wild animal unwilling to submit. The men radioed for support, their words short and urgent. The forest was tense, the air thick with expectation. Then branches broke behind them. From the shadows stepped three men carrying metal rods. The tiger froze, his body tensing again, eyes flashing with fear and defiance. The rangers moved, standing between the wounded animal and the intruders. The air grew heavy with danger. The tiger, locked in the grip of steel and surrounded by human voices, let out another roar that echoed through the valley, weaker yet more desperate. The balance of life and death now hung on every passing moment. But what happened next with this animal was even more unexpected. You will not want to miss it. The sun had risen higher, and with it came a new sharpness to the forest. Light pierced through the branches, catching and drifting dust and mist. The air was warmer now, carrying the acrid smell of rusted iron mixed with the deeper, heavier scent of blood. Insects buzzed low to the ground, circling the damp soil where red drops darkened the earth. Every sound pressed against the silence that surrounded the trapped animal. The tiger's chest lifted and fell in heavy rhythm. Each breath rattled with strain. His paw, clamped tight in the steel trap, twitched with every wave of pain. He shifted his weight to relieve the pressure, but the movement only deepened the wound. His eyes moved constantly, locked on the shapes around him. First the rangers who stood close, then the three men in the shadows holding rods. His ears flicked back, his body coiled, though strength was leaving him fast. He growled low, a warning that carried less force than before, but no less meaning. The rangers acted with urgency. One unrolled a heavy net, another set down a long pair of iron tongs, and a third pulled a small canister from his pack. Their hands moved quickly, gestures tight and practiced. The forest around them stayed tense, as if it too waited for the outcome. The intruding men did not move back, their eyes fixed on the tiger, their stance steady, their silence heavy. The standoff stretched, and in the middle lay the great cat, caught between pain and fear. His body shivered from exhaustion, but the fire in his gaze did not fade. The rangers tried to close in, their steps slow, voices low. "Hold steady, on my signal." Another answered, "We do not have time." The tiger caught the faint hiss of the canister as calming spray filled the air. He jerked his head, ears flat, eyes wide. The smell was strange, sharp, and it made his muscles tense even more. His jaws opened, teeth flashing as he released a deep, rattling roar. His body twisted violently, his claws striking at the ground. The steel trap rattled and cut deeper, blood flowing more freely. The forest answered his roar with sudden silence. Even the insects seemed to pause. The rangers moved faster. One threw the net partially across the animal's body, shielding the view of his injured leg. Two others crouched low, gripping the steel with their tools, pressing their weight against the rusted jaws. The metal resisted, screeching under pressure, but slowly began to shift. The tiger thrashed under the net, eyes blazing, his tail whipping against the ground. He could not see what was happening, only feel the searing pain intensify as the steel bent. The intruding men shifted, ready to step forward, but one ranger snapped, "Back off!" His voice cut through the clearing, sharp and final. The others kept their grip on the trap, their muscles straining as the rusted jaws creaked open. Then came a sound unlike the forest's usual harmony, the sharp crack of metal giving way. The jaws loosened, releasing the tiger's paw. The leg slipped free, raw and bloodied, but no longer crushed. The great cat collapsed forward, chest heaving, eyes wide in disbelief. He did not move at first, his body trembling from shock and exhaustion. The rangers froze in place, watching him closely. They knew every second now carried risk. The tiger lifted his head slowly, nostrils flaring, pulling in the air as though tasting freedom again. His paw dragged slightly on the soil, leaving a red smear as he shifted. Pain shot through him, but so did something else. Space, movement, the chance to rise. The clearing hung in fragile balance. The men with rods stood tense. The rangers kept their hands ready, and the tiger newly freed, struggled between weakness and survival. The climax of his story begins right now. Everything will be decided in the next moments,